Hello, everybody. This is Barry Moore, President and CEO of the Better Business Bureau here in Central Virginia. I'm at the Ignite Studios, and this is a podcast for BBB Sharing. It's going to be found on Spotify and social media. This is a topic I think every family, it's one of those topics that families are afraid to have, and we're all going to have the conversations. We're all going to want to know the information, but we don't learn until the time is there. It's immediate. And I've done that. I've been there, done that. I've been part of Woody's Funeral Home and Nelsen. They did a service for us, cremation, a couple of years ago. They're true professionals. Most funeral homes do a very good job. It's all people oriented, in my opinion, how you're treated, and then the services the options they offer you. So I will tell you the 5 things funeral homes wish families knew ahead of time that I don't know how to answer, but I have 2 professionals here. I have Krystina and Doni. They'll introduce themselves first, and then we're going to talk about 5 questions that consumers or clients, they're not consumers, but they are, clients can think about before the time is needed of a funeral service. So the first thing, we'll start with Krystina. If you can introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Krystina Diman. I'm the president of Woody Nelsen Funeral Homes. I'm also on the Better Business Bureau Board of Directors and immediate past president of Virginia Funeral Directors Association. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very much. And then we have Doni.
Thank you. Thank you, Barry, for having me today. My name is Doni Kashinejad, and I'm the director of pre-planning for Woody and Nelsen Funeral Homes.
Very good. And you have a big footprint here in the local area, so we're going to get into really what you do. But the first question I would ask one of you, and you decide who wants to answer it. Do I have to make every decision immediately when it's time for death, or, No. Krystina, can you answer that?
Not at all. There's so many decisions that need to be made when a death occurs, and it's overwhelming, and we understand that. So if you're coming in at the time of need, you kind of do, because you're on a timetable, but that's the benefit. And we very much encourage planning ahead, because there are so many decisions that need to be made. And so if you plan ahead and you come in and at least start that conversation, you do not have to make all those decisions at one time. There's time for that. It gives you kind of the gift of time, if you will. And so there's professionals that will help guide you through those choices and decisions, and they don't all have to be made at once.
Yeah, that's one of the things. A lot of the funerals I've had to be involved in, there's others available to work and work through the emotions and their ideas. I will say my mother was a difficult one. My dad was there, but it was all about what he could afford. And he had all the options, but he couldn't make the decisions right then. All we had to do is go home, talk, and then go back. It wasn't pressure that we perceived. I've done others that the people involved had to make the decision right then because they didn't want to go back.
Sure.
And so.
Sure. And there are some things, the great thing,
Yeah.
What Krystina was saying is, yeah, you come into us and some decisions have to be made pretty quick. But then there's some decisions that don't, like, for example, a service. What songs do we want to have in the service? Well, if the service is next week, we don't have to make those decisions today. So when you come in to make those final arrangements, that's why the funeral director is so important, is that they will guide you and get those decisions that have to be made immediately. We'll get those moving forward. And then they'll let you have some time to make up the memorial folder, pick those songs, get the minister, do those types of things that can be done at a slower pace.
Woody's and Nelsen, you guys have a lot of experience, decades, 100 years, over 120 years. You must have learned a lot during COVID because nothing was rushed at that point in time, correct? Any lesson that stood out during COVID?
Yes and no. I mean, COVID was kind of just a crazy time. Some things were actually faster, and then some things. What the hard part is that we couldn't have services. Services like churches all closed basically, and so our chapel, we were able to still have services there. But some loved ones weren't able to see their families.
That was That
was
was
tough.
brutal. Walking, in a funeral director's mind, we want you to, it sounds rough when you're not used to hearing, but we want you to grieve. That's a healthy part of moving forward. That's expected. And we welcome that because that's the first step in moving forward. And so having COVID where you're limited to 10 people and we count as one of those, that was terrible to watch families not have that support and not be able to gather as a family and have their friends there where it is welcome and it is expected and you have support from your community members and your neighbors and other family members. And so that was really difficult to guide families through that where, and we were creative. I mean, we were putting balloons in the chairs, in our chapels where people could send in what they wanted to say to the family. And then we had balloons to kind of replicate as if people were sitting there. So there was a lot of creative ideas that we came up with to try and help with those families that wanted to gather. But yeah, that was brutal trying to guide them through that for sure.
And funeral service jumped 20 years ahead in technology as well. Because all of a sudden we started using the technology that was out there, like WebEx, posting things on our website, using our website a lot more, putting videos on our website. So that technology jumped years because of COVID, because we weren't able to get together as families and as a community.
Every industry has ups and downs, right? And so economic interest rates, depending on real estate, car sales, everybody go through different times. The two of you have gone through something that folks that are in school right now will never understand. So it opens up if I come to you as a client, you guys offer something totally different. And your staff has been around at Woody's and Nelsen for a long time. You retain your people. So you attract, satisfy, retain. I guess you're always hoping to find the next new star, right? The next Doni, the next Krystina, but it comes down to being an accredited business. People are going to find you at bbb.org, but the one thing we don't take complaints about, pricing. People say they bought something and it wasn't the best price later on. Are prices across the board at all the funeral homes the same? And if not, why not? And what are the differences?
So yeah, prices there's a wide range in prices and they're for all different sorts of reasons. It could be the area that the funeral home is in. Even in our town here, Richmond, right? We have South Side or Chesterfield and you have Ashland. So you have two different balances. You have West End and then you have East End over by the airport. So again, two really different economical areas. In the country, if we look in the country, prices in the country, you got Florida, New York, you got California, and maybe a small town in North Carolina. So definitely the location has a lot to do with it. Also, if you go to that funeral home and you look at their building, right? Is it upkept? Is it nice? Do they spend money on the parking lot? Are there weeds in the flower beds or not? Right. So a lot of that has to do with the pricing of that funeral home. Also, some funeral homes may include things. Like a professional service charge might include many things. Other funeral homes might decide to, itemize it a little bit differently. So an item that might be free at one funeral home, maybe it's an extra cost at a different funeral home. We also have some low-cost funeral homes in the area. And so you see a price difference there. The best way to judge that is, I'm sure, Barry, you've heard the term, you get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
So in the funeral industry, that is absolutely true. If you see something that doesn't look quite right, there's probably a reason, right? There are ways in funeral service to cut corners, and some of those places do cut those corners. They're willing to do that. And as long as you know that going in, that's okay, right? So again, we talked about a moment ago, pre-planning, right? The more knowledge you have, the more information you have, the better judgment that you can make, the better decisions that you can make.
I think that's going to be a topic to talk more about. What are the topics of the 5 things that you wish people knew about funeral homes? You have more control. my family member dies, I have more control than I realize when I come to talk to you, correct, Krystina?
That's correct. So you're the driver. When you come into a funeral home, whether it be ours or any, really, the consumer needs to understand that you are the driver. Funeral professionals are there to guide you. We're there to, I always tell families our job is twofold. So we work for the state, we have to do vital records and kind of the business side of things and make sure that things are done legally and ethically. But we, first and foremost, we work for the family. So whatever those wishes look like for you, we are the facilitator of those. So whatever you come in and say, this is what I want, that's what we're there for. We're there to make that happen, as long as it's legal. So we are the mediator in between that, making sure that your wishes are carried out the way that you want them to be.
Yep, Krystina has a great point there, and I just want to throw this out there too, that different states have different regulations, right? We're regulated by the FTC, we're regulated by OSHA, we're regulated by state board, and each state might have different rules of things that they have to do. And obviously there's expense to all of those things that the government wants us to do. So that does play a part in the cost as well.
Very good. And then one thing I think Woody's did very well, and I imagine all your places might have it or go into it. You have I'll call it a banquet room, but it's a celebration of life room that I don't have to go to a restaurant afterwards. You guys built a place right there. And I remember coming with Executive Women's International, you gave a tour, and it was awesome just to be able to see the care that I don't have to get in the car, go back. I could stay right there with my family and friends. I feel good.
Yeah, it's a convenience. So, a lot of the turmoil when somebody passes is I have to go here and I have to do this and I have to order flowers and what am I going to do for food and all of these things. So our primary goal is to do as much for the family as we possibly can so that you don't leave and feel like, oh my goodness, I have all of these loose ends that now I have to tie up. When you come to us, we sit down with you, we go over all of those details, and then we take those for you so that you can spend that time going through the grieving process, being with your family and handling the things that you need to handle, but you always have somebody to have your back with us so that we can take those details and carry those out for you.
As professionals, and I'm
Right.
grieving, like you said, I can't make clear choices.
Right.
I
And
need you.
one of the questions that you asked in the beginning was, alluding and talking about the fact that slowing down, right? Slowing the family down. As funeral professionals, we don't want you to make all of those decisions quickly and rapidly because what we really don't want is for you to leave and 3 weeks later have all of these regrets about, oh, I wish I would have done this and I wish I would have said that and I wish we could have got this person to speak. Or we want you to slow down. At one point, funeral service, at least in this area, and I'm sure across the country, it was pretty cookie cutter, right? You had a death that happened, and then 2 days later you were having a visitation, and then you were having a funeral, and then you were going to the graveside. We don't do things like that anymore. The consumer is so different now, and we understand that grieving isn't cookie cutter. So you can't. The expectation of having a cookie cutter service is kind of long gone. We want you to slow down. Let's really think about this because a funeral is the service of a lifetime. And so that's hard to put together in 2 days. If you want to have certain music and certain elements of ceremony within that, we want you to take the time to think about those, and we're there to help you do that.
That's one of the topics. The last question, just so you know what's coming, is about the pre-planning, prepaid. I planned my wedding. I'm going to plan my funeral. I am going to do the prepaid because I don't want my daughter or my wife have to think about it. Well, the topic we're going to talk about right now, cremation, is an option out there, right? I grew up, my generation, you had to buy your plot that you wanted to be by a family member. Well, now cremation has become a big option. My brother-in-law, we used your services, and it was an amazing process. It was scary the first time, But I decided at that point, that's how I'm going. And so I'll put it in writing so nobody's got any arguing or anything. But if somebody could talk right now, the two of you, Doni, you probably could take this one. The cremation still involve choices that we just don't know about.
Absolutely. So a lot of people will come to me and they'll say, Doni, I just want a cremation. And in my head, I'm always kind of smiling, smirking in the back of my head, because when people say that, there's so many different options. And yeah, maybe somebody really does want something very simple, but to some other people, simple might mean a lot more. And so we do have all sorts of different options. We can even have the person present for a visitation and a service, and then cremation to take place after. So when we talk about cremation, there are so many different avenues to go. Do we want a visitation? Do we want a service? What type of urn do we want? What type of interment do we want? Where are we going to place those ashes? And I've seen a real trend lately of people going back to the cemeteries for that interment. And cemeteries have become so creative with the products and opportunities that they offer. For example, different like glass niches or mausoleum spaces or a walking trail where the ashes might be placed, a fountain where the foundation are, places to place ashes. So I see a real insurgence of people coming back to the cemeteries as opposed to scattering, which we saw there for a while. It became kind of popular, and now it's kind of coming back to let's place our loved one in someplace we can visit regularly.
We got one more topic we're going to talk about. We're at 16, almost 17 minutes, so we're going to close it at 20. But the one thing that the option with cremation, which I didn't know until I had to go through it, you can watch through a glass window.
Yep.
They could close a curtain.
Yeah.
Or I don't even have to be there. Correct?
That is very correct.
And emotionally, it's a big decision.
It is. And some religions automatically do that. We've had people for years and years since, I started in 1992 that wanted to witness the cremation. It's sort of part of their culture.
Right.
And then most of us, and I don't recommend it, but most of us would rather not witness that being done. So, there's, again, a wide range of options when it comes to cremation.
It comes down to no right or wrong. It's what the people want. And that's what you guys give that option as professionals.
Krystina mentioned it a moment ago in that, we used to have a cookie cutter kind of thing. And now people say, well, what's normal? And again, I have this little smirk in the back of my head saying there's no normal. It's what do you want? And we can make that.
The world we live in now. Yeah. So let's get down. We got 2 minutes. Whoever wants to handle this. Planning does not mean giving up hope. So at 64, if I plan my funeral, I'm not saying I'm going to die right away. A lot of my friends just can't talk that way. I have no problem talking about it. So does it mean we're giving up hope?
Not at all. Not at all. It means that you're doing the best thing you can for your family by doing it ahead of time. I have people in my own family. I'm going through it right now with some of my family members who are, don't talk to me about that. Don't say it. And we see that a lot. There are people that, superstition or, culture or beliefs or whatever it may be, that they just cannot. They do not want to talk about it. Don't bring it up because you're going to put a bad omen on me or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, and Doni alluded to it earlier, we plan for every major thing in our life. Some that are never going to happen. Some of us may never retire. That's just, I could have something happen leaving here today, and I don't know that. So I'm doing all this planning for something that may never happen. You buy health insurance, you may never need it. You buy life insurance, you may never need that. We're all going to pass. We're all maybe. We're all going to pass. So this is something that is inevitable.
Right.
So why would you not take the time to plan for that? It doesn't mean that you're giving up hope. It doesn't mean that something bad is going to happen. It means that you're taking the initiative to do the best thing you can for your family. And that is give them peace of mind when that time does come, that they don't have to be in turmoil wondering if they did what you wanted them to do, if they carried out your wishes, if they, do you want burial or cremation, that you've answered these questions, and that's the best thing you can give them.
I will tell you, the segment, it's long, it's 20 minutes, and very seldom do people get all the way through, but they should, and this topic, because you answered a lot of questions. Woody's and Nelsen Funeral Homes do a great job. They're accredited business found at bbb.org. I'd like to thank you, Doni and Krystina, for sharing. And you only tip of the iceberg, right? There's a lot more to it. But I encourage even this type of conversation, if you have prospects, your employees, to listen to this segment to open up the door to some communication and conversations that need to be done. You guys did a very good job, and I applaud you for it. Thanks for sharing something that's very difficult.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us, Mary.